next 5 to 10 minutes, what I want to do is show you the underside of the Mazda 3 MPS suspension. And what I've got here beside me is the K-frame, or the lower chassis frame that supports the engine. That obviously all the drive shaft, steering rack and everything is then above. But most importantly, you can see here is the sway bar, because when the car is got the assembly fitted, it's very, very hard to see the sway bar. What I want to show you is the difference between the Gen 1 and Gen 2, and what is also similar between the two models as well. So obviously we've got a Gen 2 model Mazda 3 MPS, that's the one with the bonnet scoop. And this is the early release of the front sway bar. Now remember, what I want to point out is it's important to understand the difference between what a sway bar does and springs. Sway bar is designed to reduce body roll. That's the sway of the car when you go around corners. Springs are designed to support the car driving down the road. Shock absorbers are designed to control the oscillation of the spring moving up and down, which gives you ride quality and ability to soak up bumps. Sway bars have got the ability to reduce body roll. Really, really important thing. Keep that in mind. Okay, so what we've done is this is the new sway bar fitted. Virtually looks the same shape as the original factory sway bar, but of course it's bigger in diameter because it then makes it torsionally more stiff. Now the difference between the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 is the way the sway bar is mounted to the chassis. On the early model bar, it uses the replacement brackets and bushers to fit the factory mounts, but on the Gen 2 model, Mazda for some reason changed the bracket to a bracket with a captive nut, and you can see it's a much slimmer sway bar bracket that supports the bush. Now obviously the bush is then supplied as part of the kit, bolts to the chassis, then bolts inside of the car. So one of the good things is this bar is a universal bar, fits both models. The kit comes with both sets of bushes and brackets to suit depending on what model you're fitting. And of course all of this then goes up in under the car. What I want to show you too, this is the part that connects the sway bar to the suspension, obviously moving up and down. And remember, what it does is it changes the stability going around corners and transfers obviously the suspension going up on one side and going down on the other. This is the steering rack. This then goes up to the steering column. One of the really important things when you're fitting a sway bar in any model car is, particularly on the Mazdas and more modern cars that have steering angle inputs, is to make sure that this goes back the same way it came out, because modern day cars have got more and more likelihood of steering angle input sensors, and as you know, on a Mazda 3 the steering angle input severely limits the torque or the power output in first, second, third and fourth gear to obviously reduce wheel spin, and obviously that also reduces torque steer. Of course with the ECU upgrade and the performance modifications, that's all modified and changed to the factory ECU. So there you have it. That's the front sway bar. What we'll do is just quickly go around and have a look at the back. I'll get my cameraman to follow me. Remembering, when you're fitting a sway bar to a front-wheel drive model, you always want to do the rear sway bar first and then do the front. You never do the front and then the rear. So on a front-wheel drive car, you do rear bar and then front, or both at the same time. If it's a rear-wheel drive car, you do a front sway bar, then the rear sway bar. So it's the opposite. So as you can see, replacement stiffer, fully adjustable rear sway bar replaces the factory bar. One of the really cool things with Whiteline is they now fit these alloy lock bolts which limit the movement of the sway bar laterally, because as this goes up and down it's always twisting and moving, and the sway bar can move a little bit in the bushes. What these do is resist the tendency of the bar to move a little bit sideways, which can in some situations cause the bush to warp or move out of the saddle. You'll notice if you're looking from the side, it's got two holes which increase and decrease the stiffness of a sway bar, because remember it's a torsion bar. And one thing I want to remind you as well, if you want to change the stiffness of the sway bar, you can have the bar mounted in that hole on that side and that hole on the other side. They don't have to be the same on side to side, so you can effectively halve the change in stiffness by just moving one bolt, because it's the relationship between the two that makes a difference in the way the actual sway bar works. Of course, there's a whole heap of other stuff in after that. This car has got some MRT progressive rate lowered springs fitted because the owner wanted to make the car sit a little bit lower. The improvement in changing springs at the same time is by reducing the ride height of the car, you reduce the centre of gravity, which has a marginal improvement in reducing body roll, but most people fit springs because they want to just have that stealthy look for the car sitting a little bit lower. So if you're looking to try and decide whether to do sway bars or springs first, ask yourself the question, do you want to make a car look better, or do you want to make the car handle better? And obviously, if you want to really give you the best value, sway bars will always make the car handle better before you do springs, but of course the downside is they don't make the way the car change in its looks. If you want to make it look better, do the springs first with the sway bar, but best value for money, always rear sway bar, front sway bar, then do the springs. So just quickly, I'll show you up in here. This is where the K-frame fits up, bolts up to the chassis, supports the lower engine mount. This is the back of the transmission and the engine on the MPS assembly at the front of the car. And obviously this all goes back. You can see it's a fairly major job. Most modern day cars have got lower suspension setups like this now because it eases the manufacturers in their manufacturing process. So to fit this front sway bar on an MPS is quite an extensive job, certainly not something you can do at home. The good advantage is the rear one is very, very simple to fit. So there you have it. If you're choosing to improve the handling of the car, sway bars certainly first to make the car look better, springs. For more information, of course, you know where to follow us. Make a comment here on our video page, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Come to the mrtperformance.com.au website, send us an email, pick up the phone. I'm Brett Middleton. We're here to help you and update you more on how to improve your Mazda 3 MPS no matter where you are in the world. Thanks for watching.